Narcissism is often misunderstood as a loud and obvious behavior. Most people picture someone who is arrogant, who constantly talks about themselves, and who clearly seeks attention from everyone around them. But the truth is, some of the most damaging narcissistic behaviors are quiet, subtle, and incredibly easy to miss. These hidden patterns can leave you feeling confused, anxious, and full of self-doubt, often without you even understanding why. You might walk away from a conversation feeling drained, but you cannot point to a single thing that was said wrong. You might feel like something is off in a relationship, but when you try to explain it to someone, you have nothing concrete to point to. That confusion is not a sign that you are imagining things. It is often the clearest sign that something deeper is going on. In this video, we are going to explore 7 hidden signs that someone in your life may be a narcissist. We will go through each one in detail, explain how it works, why it is so easy to overlook, and what it does to you over time. Understanding these quiet signs is the first and most important step toward protecting your emotional well-being and bringing clarity to your relationships. I am Dr. Eleanor Whitmore, a clinical psychologist with over 30 years of experience studying human behavior and personality patterns. Let me get straight into it. The first hidden sign is the subtle shift of blame. This is not about someone dramatically playing the victim or making a big scene. It is a much quieter and more personal form of manipulation. It is the ability to make you feel responsible for their emotions without you even noticing it is happening. A healthy person might say something like, "I feel frustrated right now." A person using this tactic will instead say, "You are making me frustrated." The difference between those two statements is small, but it is extremely important. The first one is someone expressing how they feel. The second one is someone placing the cause of their feeling directly on you. When this happens over and over again, it changes the way you behave. You start to feel like you are constantly managing their emotions. You feel like you are walking on eggshells, always trying to say the right thing or do the right thing to prevent them from being upset. You become hyper aware of their mood and you start adjusting your own behavior to keep the peace. This is a very powerful form of control because it makes you believe that their happiness depends entirely on your actions. You begin to carry the weight of their emotional state on your shoulders, and that is an exhausting way to live. The worst part is that no matter how hard you try, it is never enough. You can never get it perfectly right because the goal was never for you to succeed. The goal was to keep you trying. As long as you believe you are the problem, you will keep giving them your energy, your attention, and your time, and that is exactly what they need from you. The second hidden sign is the backhanded compliment. This is a statement that sounds like a compliment on the surface, but it carries a hidden insult underneath. It is designed to make you feel good for a brief moment and then immediately make you feel bad about yourself. The person can then pretend they were just being nice, which makes it very difficult for you to call it out. For example, someone might say, "You did a great job on that project. I am surprised you pulled it off." The first part is praise, but the second part suggests that you are not normally capable of doing good work. Or they might say something like, "You look amazing tonight. That outfit really hides everything well." Again, the compliment is followed by a subtle dig that is meant to make you feel insecure. If you react with hurt or confusion, the person will often retreat and say something like, "I was just giving you a compliment. Why are you always so sensitive?" This is what makes this tactic so effective. It makes you question your own feelings. You start to wonder if maybe you are too sensitive or if you are reading too much into things. Over time, this slowly wears down your trust in your own instincts and perceptions. You stop trusting your gut feeling and you start relying on the other person to tell you what is real and what is not. That shift is exactly what the narcissist wants. Once you no longer trust yourself, they become the authority on your reality. The third hidden sign is what psychologists sometimes call strategic incompetence. This happens when a person who is perfectly capable of doing something suddenly pretends they cannot do it. They do this to avoid responsibility and to train you to stop asking for their help. For example, if you ask them to handle a simple task, they might try to do it but will perform it so poorly that you end up having to redo it yourself. They might say something like, "I just cannot figure this out. You are so much better at these things than I am." At first, this might actually feel flattering. You feel needed and capable, but after a while, you start to notice that you are carrying the weight of all the responsibilities. You are the one managing the household, the finances, the plans, and the decisions. They have quietly stepped back from all of it, and you have been trained to accept that as normal. This is not a coincidence, and it is not simple laziness. It is a passive way for a person to conserve their own energy while draining yours. It creates an unbalanced dynamic where you feel exhausted and overwhelmed, while they feel comfortable and entitled to your effort. And if you ever bring it up, they will often act hurt and say something like, "I try my best, but nothing I do is ever good enough for you." That response flips the situation and makes you feel guilty for even asking. The fourth hidden sign is the one-way street of emotional support. In any healthy relationship, whether it is a friendship, a family bond, or a romantic partnership, emotional support goes both ways. Both people give and both people receive. But when you are dealing with a person who has narcissistic traits, you will notice that the emotional support only flows in one direction, and that direction is always toward them. When they are going through something difficult, it is treated as a major event. They expect you to drop everything and be there for them. They want your full attention, your comfort, and your advice. And you give it willingly because you care about them. But when the situation is reversed, when you are the one having a hard day or going through something painful, they are suddenly unavailable. They might seem distracted or bored when you try to talk about your feelings. They might quickly change the subject back to themselves. Or they might offer a short, empty phrase like, "I am sure it will work out," and then move on as if your problem does not matter. This pattern can leave you feeling incredibly lonely, even when you are surrounded by people. You become their emotional support system, their therapist, their safe space. But when you need someone, there is no one there for you. Over time, you might even stop sharing your feelings altogether because you have learnt that your emotions are not important to them. You start to believe that your needs do not matter, and that is a very dangerous place to be. This is a very clear sign that the person lacks genuine empathy. They do not see you as a person with your own needs and feelings. They see you as a resource that exists to serve theirs. The fifth hidden sign is the use of concern as a tool for control and isolation. This is one of the most deceptive tactics on this list because it is completely disguised as love and care. The person will express worry about your friends, your family, your job, or your hobbies. But their real goal is not to protect you. Their real goal is to control your decisions and to slowly separate you from the people and things that give you strength and independence. They might say things like, "I am just worried about your friend. I do not think she is a good influence on you." Or they might say, "Are you sure you want to take that new job? It sounds really stressful, and I just want you to be happy." These statements sound loving and protective, but the message underneath is that your own judgment cannot be trusted. They are planting small seeds of doubt, and over time, those seeds grow into something much bigger. You might find yourself pulling away from friends you have known for years. You might start second-guessing decisions that you were once confident about. Your world slowly becomes smaller, and the other person ends up at the center of it. They become your main source of advice, comfort, and validation, and that is exactly the position they want to be in. A truly supportive person encourages your independence. They want you to have strong friendships and a full life outside of the relationship. When someone's concern consistently leads to you having less freedom and fewer connections, that is not love. That is control. The sixth hidden sign is the rewriting of history. This is a manipulation tactic that is also known as gaslighting. It happens when a person denies or changes past events to fit their own version of reality. This is one of the most psychologically damaging things a person can do because it directly attacks your sense of what is real and what is not. You may remember a conversation or an agreement with complete clarity, but when you bring it up later, the other person insists that it never happened or that it happened in a completely different way. They might say, "I never said that, you must be confused." Or they might say, "That is not what happened at all. You always twist things around." Sometimes they will even add, "I am worried about your memory," which makes you feel like there is something wrong with you. When this happens once, you might brush it off. But when it happens again and again, it starts to affect you deeply. You begin to question your own memory. You start to wonder if maybe you really did misunderstand. You might even feel like you are losing your mind. Some people in this situation start writing things down or keeping notes just to prove to themselves that they are not crazy. That is how powerful this tactic is. The goal of rewriting history is to make you so unsure of your own perception that you become completely dependent on the other person's version of events. Once they control your sense of reality, they have an enormous amount of power over you. And the scariest part is that it happens so gradually that most people do not realize it until they are deep inside it. The seventh and final hidden sign is the inability to share in your joy. This is a very subtle sign, but it is deeply painful when you recognize it. A person with narcissistic traits often struggles to be genuinely happy for your successes. This is because, deep down, they view life as a competition. Your success does not make them feel proud of you. It makes them feel like they are falling behind or becoming less important. When you share good news, you may notice that their reaction is flat or short. They might quickly change the subject to something about themselves, or they might find a subtle way to downplay what you have achieved. For example, if you are excited about a promotion, they might say, "That is nice, but it sounds like a lot more work for not much more money." If you are happy about a personal achievement, they might respond with silence or a quick change of topic. The message is clear, even if it is never spoken out loud. Your happiness is not welcome here. They cannot truly celebrate you because your happiness feels like a threat to their own sense of importance. Over time, this teaches you to hide your accomplishments. You learn to downplay your own success or keep your excitement to yourself, just to avoid that cold or dismissive reaction. You learn that your joy is not safe with this person, and that is one of the saddest things about being in a relationship with a narcissist. You lose the ability to freely enjoy your own life because you have been trained to believe that your happiness makes other people uncomfortable. In a healthy relationship, the people around you lift you up when good things happen. They are genuinely excited for you. They want to celebrate with you. When someone consistently makes you feel guilty or small for being happy, that is a sign that something is very wrong. Recognizing these 7 hidden signs is not about putting a label on someone. It is about understanding the patterns of behavior that are causing you confusion and pain. It is about validating your own feelings and learning to trust your instincts again. These subtle behaviors are a form of emotional manipulation, and they can be incredibly harmful over time. But the moment you can see the pattern clearly, you are no longer trapped by it. Understanding is where your power begins. Human behavior is rarely random. Even the most confusing actions follow a pattern if you observe closely enough. Once you see that pattern, you can begin to make different choices for yourself and for your life. If this video helped you see something more clearly, make sure to watch the video on your screen right now. It goes deeper into the specific phrases narcissists use to pull you back in when you start to create distance. Understanding those phrases is the next step in protecting yourself. I will see you there.